Hello everybody. This video is going to kind of walk you through how to do the second assignment in our project. You are being asked to find the percent of increase or decrease for each of the vehicles that you have researched. And so I'm going to take you through what I did. This project actually came about last year, and about this time of year actually. I was getting rid of my Chevy Trailblazer, and so was trying to determine what a fair price was to ask in selling it. And so I knew what it had been worth back in 2003 when it was a brand new vehicle. And according to Kelley Blue Book, I knew what they said it was worth as of 2019, so a year ago. So, but for our sake, I'm just going to say currently. That's what you would have. You would have your current price for whatever your vehicle is. And then I was kind of intrigued and just kind of wanted to know, well, how did it get from $36,000 to just a little bit over $3,000? I kind of wanted to see, what happened over the years. And I knew that this was an exponential decay problem. Obviously it's a decay because it started all the way up here and at that point was all the way down here, so it was decreasing, so that's decay. So I just want to remind you for just a moment of when we learned exponential decay, and that was back in when we did 8.1 and 8.2, and if you look in the notes on the website or in your notebook, wherever you're looking, it's part 3. And so we had a formula like this. Now for decay, we had a minus sign. If this had been a growth problem, we would have used a plus sign, but clearly that ain't growth. So we had decay. So we said that A stood for the initial amount at the beginning of the problem, whatever we were talking about, what it was worth, what its monetary value was. R is your rate. And then Y over there represents what it is, your final amount for whatever T is. So I just want to kind of walk you through how we would solve for R and how I solved for R when I did this problem last year. Now for just a moment, I am going to replace the 1 minus R with an X. And I'll come back to the 1 minus R in a moment, but just for right now, I'm just going to call it X. So the initial amount back in 2003, this vehicle was worth $36,010. All right, I don't know the rate, so I don't know what 1 minus R is. That means I don't know X, so I'm just keeping it X. But what I do know for T, if my car was from 2003, and when I did this problem, it was 2019. That's a difference of 16 years, right? So that's why I'm going to have a 16 for the T. And after 16 years, this car was now only worth $3,407. So my goal was, I need to solve for X. Okay, so what happens? Well, one thing is I need to get rid of this $36,010, and it's being multiplied times the X to the 16th power. So I'm gonna do division because that is the opposite of multiplication. All right, that gets rid of those. And for a moment, I'm gonna leave this as this number. I'm not going to plug it into the calculator yet, and I'll tell you why. Because it's probably going to give me a really long decimal, and I would be tempted to want to round it. And I want to save the rounding for the end, because if you start rounding early in a problem and then you round later, your rounding later is not as exact as it could be. So if I leave it like this right now, I'm going to have a more exact answer at the end. So I have X to the 16th power equals that lovely fraction. Now, how do I get rid of that? Well, if this were an X squared, I think all of you would tell me, hey, I know to square root both sides. Or if this were an X cubed, we would cube root both sides. But this is an X to the 16th power. So we're going to 16th root both sides. Okay? Here's what's going to happen. First of all, this 16th root and the 16th power, they're going to cancel each other out. That's why we 16th rooted that side. So that's going to leave us with x. Over here, we need the 16th root of this fraction. And that's where we have a slight problem in that your calculator doesn't have a button that has a 16th root. At least I don't think it does. Mine doesn't. Maybe it does. Anyway, I'm going to show you what we are going to do because sometimes calculators can be a little confusing there. Let's talk about, remember that this is your index, and we could rewrite this with an exponent that is a fraction. Remember, the index becomes your denominator. So this is going to turn into 1/16 for the exponent. Does that make sense? Remember that the index is the denominator. Does that look familiar? So I'm going to plug this into the calculator. Now I'm going to plug it in like I see it. So I got parentheses. If you have math print, use it. If you don't, I would just type in the 3,407 divided by $36,010. Close my parentheses. Now then I'm going to raise it to the 1/16 power. Is everybody okay with plugging it in? And I'm going to get a really long decimal. And I'm actually going to write down all of those digits. So let me do that real quick. It's got 0.8629722215. Now what does that equal? That equals x. Remember what you're trying to do. You're trying to find the value of r. So let's go back for a second. Why did I plug x into the problem, or what did I put x into the problem for to begin with? I put it in place of the 1 minus r. Y'all remember right up here? We took this 1 minus r and we just replaced it with an x because it looked a little bit nicer. Now I'm going to take the x back out, put the 1 minus r in its place. And my goal is I need to solve for r. So what would I do? Well, I need to get rid of that 1. How am I going to get rid of a positive 1? I'm going to subtract it. So I'm going to subtract 1 on each side. Now notice when I do that and I bring this down, I'm not just bringing down an r, I'm bringing down a negative r. Now I'm going to go back to the computer, calculator, whatever. Take that answer I just got and subtract 1 from it. Look what I got. Got another crazy decimal, so let me write this down. Negative 0.13702778.5. Is everybody with me so far? So we had that decimal. We took the 1. We subtracted it from both sides. Here's what we have. We're trying to solve for r. So I need to get rid of the negative sign. That means I'm going to divide both sides by -1. Now what happens when you divide by -1? It's going to turn it to a positive, right? Negative divided by negative is going to turn to a positive. So I have 0.13702778.5 equals r. Now what we are going to do next, because we're trying to find the percent of decrease, this is not a percent. This is a decimal right now. Remember, to change it to a percent, we're going to move it over 2 places. I'm going to move it over 2 places to the right. So I have 13.702778.5 right now for r. And what we're going to do for our math in this project is we're going to round this to the hundredths place. That means I need 2 digits after the decimal point. So I have to look at the 3rd digit to tell me what am I going to do to the 2nd digit. Remember, if it's 5 or higher, you get to round the 2nd digit up. If it's 4 or lower, you keep it the same. So in our case, I'm going to keep that the same. So I'm going to say that my value for my rate, and I'm going to use approximately here because I'm rounding it, is 13.70% decrease per year. That means every year my vehicle lost 13.70% of its value every year. So it started here, and then 16 years later, after that happened every single year, it now, well, as of 2019, had a value of $3,407. So that's what you guys are going to be doing with all 3 of your vehicles. So I took you through the whole thing of how it would look. And if you have any questions, please send me an email. Let me know. The sooner the better, because I want to make this project painless and kind of fun. It's kind of fun to see how math works in the real world, particularly for things that you're interested in. If you're interested in a big old truck, or if you're interested in a race car, or whatever it is you're interested in. So let me know how things are going, okay? Bye-bye.